Hey, it's Doris with All the Books. I'm here with Friday Reads. Happy moving day to Sean the Book Maniac. I hope Kenji's still talking to you after he moves all your books. Haha. Yeah, so jumping right in, I finished In the Country We Love by Diane Guerrero this week. I listened to it on audio and I loved it so much that I ordered a copy. And I accidentally ordered 2 copies. And I have done a full-length review as well as offered a giveaway on the video previous to this one if you'd care to check that out and enter. The giveaway will be open until Monday, this coming Monday, whatever day that is, June the 18th at, noon Central Standard Time. So yeah, check that out if you're interested in hearing more. I also finished the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. I know some of you are like, why'd you wait so long? And the answer is because I had other fantasy series to finish. But yeah, this one is taking precedence now. I've ordered the next 2 and I am ready to dive in. I think I'm gonna try to wait on Stephanie from Time to Read because this was so much better with a buddy. It was just kind of complicated in a really good way. But it was nice to have somebody to bounce ideas off of and, what'd you think of that? Did that happen? But yeah, the world building in here is phenomenal, and the cliffhanger at the end and the concept at the end going forward is so cool. So really ready for number 2 in that one. The next one I finished was also a buddy read, Catherine by Anya Seton. This is set in the, I guess, mid to late 1300s-ish, something like that, with the, I don't even know these people, the Plantagenets or something to that effect. Plantagenets. Yeah. So basically, it's the relationship between Catherine, who is, her dad was a knight but newly knighted, so she's kind of considered peasant stock-ish, and John of Gaunt, who is the Duke of Lancaster. You can tell how much I'm concerned about these things. Who was basically a prince. He was the 3rd son of a king. Which king? I don't know which king. Sorry, but anyway, the thing about this one is I think I kind of read it wrong. So I read Green Darkness, was my first Anya Seton, and loved it. I read that with Bree Hill and Katie, and we read this one together, and very excited, looking forward to seeing how the relationship between, this is really very much based in history, so how the relationship between Catherine and John came about, and how their children, who, while they were, I forget the nice word for it, they were bastards, like in the real sense, legitimate sense of the word. They were illegitimate. That's the word I'm going for. Pardon me. How they eventually became legitimized and became heirs to the throne and sat on the throne, several of them. So I was really focused on that part, and it wasn't until we all finished the book and we're talking about how it was a little slow at times and it could have done with a skinny down a little bit. But I realized that I was plowing through trying to get to these certain points in time where the relationship between John and Catherine developed and where the children became heirs to the throne. And the story wasn't really focused on that. And the title tells you that. It should have told me that. Catherine. So this was really a story about Catherine and her development as a person and her history. And looking at it that way, the author's choices on the parts of the story she wanted to tell and focus on made so much more sense. So this is a good book. And if you're interested in reading it, I would suggest keeping that in mind, that it is indeed about Catherine, and staying with the slow pace. So we were reading 2 chapters a day, and that was just a lovely pace. And then at the end, I just tried to plow through the last 150 pages. And that's when I was like, oh, I didn't like that. So I think just staying with a slow and steady wins the race with this one is the way to go. And isn't that a beautiful edition? I'm loving these editions. I know it's put out by the little nautical dudes. Mariner, that makes sense. And then I just this morning finished The Diving Pool by Yoko Ogawa. And this is 3 short stories by the same author of The Professor and the... Oh dear, Gussie. The Professor and the Housekeeper and the Professor. Sorry. The Housekeeper and the Professor, which I really loved. These are translated works, and they're very thought-provoking and just this quiet hum. A little bit, it says profoundly unsettling, and I didn't find it profoundly unsettling. I found it slightly unsettling in a good hum kind of way. The last story I just finished was really cool, and it's where the bee motif comes in. I'm still thinking about that one because it's just interesting concepts, but this is really a slow burn and kind of weird and odd. So bear that in mind. You know, what kind of short stories do you like, or do you even like short stories? I don't know. So that's what I finished this week. 4 more books. And still, I'm just in this read a bunch of books at one time frame of mind, but I'm going to have to tone it down because we're approaching the last week of the month, and I like to tie up as many loose ends as I can. Anyway, I'm still reading Stormy Petrel by Mary Stewart. I have 6 chapters left, and they're tiny chapters, so I will finish this tomorrow or the next day. Probably tomorrow because we're reading 3 chapters a day. But when it gets to the end, you kind of just want to finish because these are cozy mysteries. So once you get to the snowballing mystery part, it's hard to like wait a day. So I'll probably finish this one tomorrow, I would imagine. And then I am reading The Comforters by Muriel Spark. And I'm reading this one with quite a few buddies as well. I am halfway, I guess. I'm on part 2. And yeah, this one is a lot to think about. I think Muriel Spark is kind of like coffee. It's awesome, but it's an acquired taste because you have to like learn how to read it, maybe. I don't know. That's my perception. I'm really enjoying the conversations on this book, The Comforters. Did I say that? Yeah, really enjoying the conversation about it. But the story itself is really odd. But this is another somewhat of a mystery, but really odd, really odd. So yeah, keep you posted. And then I started Cannibalism by Bill Shute. I started this one, Another Buddy Read with Heidi. And right up my alley. I love biology. It is my thing, one of my things. And this one is, it's very readable. So the author really takes the time to make sure that if you don't have the foundational information, it's still an accessible read. And he tries to insert a little bit of fun into it. So there's that. It's not dry like it could be. And he's doing that thing where instead of like focusing on a specific animal and how it does cannibalism, he's focusing on a concept and interweaving the several different species in with the concept, so it makes the chapters like you get a little bit of all kinds of things in each chapter, and the chapters are short. Gotta love short chapters. Okay, Barbara Kingsolver's Small Wonder. I haven't gotten any farther in that one, so I need to bust a move. I started Night of the Hunter by Davis Grubb. I started this one last night. And this one is for Adam from Memento Mori's new book club, where you watch a movie that goes along with the book. You know, famous noir movies, classics. Yeah. So, I'm kind of nervous because I don't know how scary this is going to be, or how horrific, how tense. 20 pages in, and luckily I was too sleepy to get very far, so I haven't met Scary Dude yet. Scary Dude. So I was afraid that I was going to meet Scary Dude and not be able to sleep, but not last night at least. And then finally, I am still on Miss Burma by Charmaine Craig. This I am listening to on audio from my library, and I'm about the halfway point with that as well. So definitely will finish this week. And I'm liking it. I'm glad I'm listening to it on audiobook because the topic is extremely interesting. It's dealing with the information, the history of Burma, and you know the political trauma from prior to World War II and beyond. Just all the upheaval in this poor country and how it became, I believe it became Myanmar. Yeah, I'll know more. I'll know more once I finish. So the history of this is very good, and I think the author might have. I'll check this out before next week when I finish it, but I think that this is part of her family's heritage, maybe. But it's good. It's very interesting historically. There are some things about the way it's written that make it a little slower than it needed to be. It could be more engrossing than it is, but I'm really enjoying being involved in the story. So yeah, that's what I've got for now, and I'll catch you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.